Hello friends, it's Miss Lisa here at Grace Lutheran Preschool. I'm so glad to be presenting some art projects for you, and I want to do a little refresh about what we started with. During my first video we talked about colors, and red, yellow, and blue are the primary colors, and we mix those colors to get our second colors. And the second color we mixed was orange. We used yellow and red to get orange, and this is our color wheel. And I had put the paint in a Ziploc bag, and I mushed the red and the yellow together to get orange. And we're going to do a painting with that in a little bit. But I want to also refresh you about what we talked about last week. We talked about texture. And I believe you were all remembering that texture means the feeling of something. We talked about smooth and bumpy and rough and smooth. Now today we're going to do a painting with our orange paint that I mixed, and when you use one color in a painting, it's called a monochromatic painting. Mono means one. M-O-N-O, mono, 4 letters, M-O-N-O, monochromatic. Well, that's a long word. It's not more than 4 letters. We don't have to count them today, but it's a long word, and chromatic means color. So we're going to work with one color. And we're also going to use a lot of different textures, right? We're going to use this bumpy gourd. Remember, it was bumpy. And we're going to use a feather. We're going to use a sponge. This pumpkin was cut out from a regular old sponge. And this stamp is actually made out of rubber. And it's a little firmer than a sponge, but we're going to use these two. Remember I showed you last week this lace that was kind of bumpy? I was thinking this might be good for clouds, so we're going to use this. And after we put paint on all of these, we're going to wash them, or I'll wash them later, okay? So we're going to get started, and I'm going to move things around a little bit so I can get to my supplies. And I'm using a poster board. But you can use construction paper, whatever you have at home, maybe some cardboard, okay? We're going to get started. Let's see. All right, so first off, I've got this styrofoam, and I just use that to spread out the paint. And I'm going to make a big pumpkin patch. And it's a little tricky to hold a sponge, but just be careful. Hold it on its edge and turn it every once in a while. And you can pick it up and see, oh look, I don't have paint on this side, so I'm going to dip it again and make sure. I don't want too much, but I want to make sure I've got paint all over. And then comes the fun part. Then I'm going to go like this. Ah. And I want to show you the first pumpkin that I painted is a darker orange, right? And then this one gets a little bit lighter, and then the third stamp is even lighter yet because there's less paint. I like having the variety of colors, so I'm going to set this upside down like that so the paint doesn't get on the table. It's always good to wear an apron, have a wipe next to you so you don't create a big mess. We always want to clean up after ourselves, right? Now let's do some little pumpkins with the rubber stamp. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm going to wipe off the paint on the edge. Let's see how this does. Aww. Look. So now we have some little pumpkins. And I want to talk to you about how the big pumpkins look like they're closer to us, don't they? And then the little pumpkins look further away. So when you're doing artwork, you can change the size of your design, of your shape, so that you have some things that look far away and some things that look close up. I'm going to use this other rubber stamp because I think it's a really cute jack-o'-lantern. And oh, that gets the paint on there real fast. Here we go. One, oh. I might have had too much paint on the first one because the eyes get closed up a little bit, but that's okay. So that, I think that's enough pumpkins. But I thought it might be nice to look like there's a fence. So I have this netting, and remember we had this last week. We were talking about texture, and I said, oh, maybe you can do some artwork with different textures, and here we're doing it. So now, oh, this is fun. So now we've got something that looks like a fence. I'm also going to use this plastic netting because I want to have different sizes of squares, right? Because I want to have a variety. This is kind of a patchwork. I like it. So far, so there we go, see? And because we have some darker squares and then some lighter squares, it's given us variety. Also, I like it. So now, what about the clouds? I don't know if this is going to look like clouds to everybody, but I'm using my imagination. I'm just going to dip the fabric in one little section. I'm going to put it up there, press down on it. I need more paint. Nice. And if you get paint on your hands, don't worry, you can wash it off. This is all water soluble. It means it can wash away with water. But you try not to get it on your clothes, okay? So now we're there. Nice. I kind of like that. What about a feather? You can paint with a feather too, right? Instead of a paintbrush. I just dab some all over. And even though I'm only using one color, I still have a lot of variety, don't I? I've got squares, I've got pumpkins, I got little dashes. What about a piece of foil crumpled up? Let's see what that does. Ah, that's kind of cool. Nice. So we have that. I was wondering, well, I don't know if this is going to do much, but part of making art, everybody, is experimenting. Who knows if you're going to like it? You might want to try it 2 or 3 times. I'm going to wash this off later. So, look at that. Isn't that kind of fun for Halloween? You can decorate your bedroom with something like this. Nice. And because Halloween is coming up, and because I can't give you treats in person, I thought I would give you an idea of how to make a tasty treat at home. Put this here, or I'll just lay it down. That's better. There you go. I'm going to wipe my hands off and get nice and clean because I'm going to handle something that is something I can eat. So I want to make sure my hands are clean. Have you ever bought the jumbo marshmallows? They're really fun. And speaking of texture, this is really soft. But when you warm it up at a campfire, the inside gets gooey, right? Ooh, so gooey's another texture. Anyway, we're going to make a little jack-o'-lantern with this jumbo marshmallow. Remember we used yellow and red paint to get our orange paint? Well, today we're using food coloring. We're using red and yellow to get orange. And we talked about how red is stronger in intensity. It's brighter and it'll overpower the yellow. So I'm going to put 1 drop of red and 2 drops of yellow because I want it to look orange and it needs more yellow than red. I'm going to shake it up a little bit. And then I'm going to get my big jumbo marshmallow. And I'm going to put it in the food coloring. I'm blotting it up. Got all of that. Now I've got an orange marshmallow that I can still eat because food coloring is okay to eat, right? And also, it might not be quite dry enough to do this, but you'll get the idea. When it's dry, you can use a non-toxic marker, and make sure you ask your parents what you can use because this is important. But after this is dry, you can draw. It's going to bleed a little bit. It's still kind of cute, isn't it? And you can make yourself a marshmallow jack-o'-lantern for Halloween for your treat. We really miss you, and we are so happy that you watch our videos. Like I said, I wish I could give you a treat in person, but this is the best we can do for now, and soon we'll be together. I know it's going to happen. I do want to remind you what's going to be going on next week. Miss Faye is going to do a puppet show, and it's about Mama Bear and the cub, and it's the last fun day before the bears go into hibernation. So I think you'll enjoy that. And one thing that I'd like you to think about as far as art this week, I want you to think about creating a found art box, maybe different things that you think look very cool or just beautiful. Like, look at this beautiful piece of paper I found. It's a hologram. So I have that in my special box of found art. I also have this rhododendron leaf. It's curled up, but I just love it. I think it's just something special to look at. So I have that in my box. Let's see. Oh, in this plastic envelope, I have the smallest little feather. And the reason why I keep this feather is because I found it when I was on a walk with one of my friends who I don't get to see very often. So I put that, and instead of just throwing it in the box, I put it in a special little sleeve so I remember it's safe. And then this, I think this is special. This is a piece of tin foil, and someone cut it out and said, "Oh, look, Miss Lisa, it looks like a hand." And I said, "You're right." And it was one of my old students that I used to teach in Charlotte. And I just thought, this is something really special. And it reminds me of a tree and a hand. And I love drawing trees. So let's see, what else do I have in here? Oh, this is a little toy. I don't know, maybe you've seen these before. You put your fingers in there and it gets stuck. And I think it's fun to put little toys in my box. So, and then I decorated the box and it says Found Art, Special Objects. There's art all around us. I want you to keep your eyes wide open so that you can be on the lookout for it, okay? And remember, Miss Faye has one last class before the bears go in hibernation, and she'll be doing Mama Bear and the Cub next week. And you and I will talk about the artist Vincent van Gogh. Maybe you can look that artist up with your parents or your siblings. Bye for now. I'll miss you till next week. Love you. Happy Halloween.